U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and Pope Francis exchanged Easter greetings before the Pope made a surprise appearance after Easter Mass.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says Moscow's attacks are continuing despite Russian President Vladimir Putin's Easter ceasefire announcement.
Thousands of people gathered in central London to protest for trans rights after the UK Supreme Court passed a landmark gender ruling.
U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and Pope Francis exchanged Easter greetings at the Casa Santa Marta, where the pontiff is recovering from pneumonia. The meeting was held in an effort to reconcile relations between the Vatican and the Trump administration.
Pray for you every day.
Meanwhile, crowds gathered in St. Peter's Square for Easter Mass. Having to cut down on his workload because of his recovery, the Pope had delegated the celebration of the Mass to another cardinal. However, after the Mass ended, the pontiff appeared on the balcony of the St. Peter's Basilica where he blessed the crowd.
Buona Pasqua.
Pope Francis then also made a surprise appearance as he drove through the piazza in his Pope-mobile, blessing thousands of people in the square. The scene used to be common in the past, but was unthinkable just a few weeks ago when the Pope was in the hospital.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Sunday accused Russia of breaking its own Easter ceasefire, saying Moscow continued to launch attacks overnight. The accusation comes after Russian President Vladimir Putin announced a ceasefire on Saturday. Despite Putin's declaration of an Easter ceasefire, Zelensky said Ukrainian forces had recorded 59 instances of Russian shelling and 26 assaults by units across various areas along the front lines, as well as dozens of drone strikes. Zelensky's accusations were countered by Russian officials who blamed Ukrainian forces for carrying out attacks. According to the Russian Ministry of Defense, Ukraine shot at Russian positions and launched drone attacks. The claims were not independently verified. Meanwhile, authorities on both sides reported the war's largest prisoner exchange on Saturday. Officials said around 277 Ukrainian soldiers had been returned from Russian captivity, while around 246 Russian soldiers were returned from the Ukrainian side.
Thousands of people gathered in central London to protest after the UK Supreme Court ruled on the definition of woman. The top British court ruled that a woman is someone born biologically female, excluding transgender women from that definition. Trans groups are worried that the landmark decision would undermine their rights despite the UK's highest court stressing their continued protection from discrimination. The new ruling is set to exclude transgender women from women's toilets, hospital wards, and sports teams. Out of 66 million in the UK, some 116,000 identified as trans in the latest census records.
Chinese exporters have begun seeking new opportunities to tap into global markets in the face of the trade war with the United States. Key to this are trade fairs where many can showcase their products and create sales channels to offset tariff impacts. The end goal is to find other opportunities beyond markets like the US.
除了美国，其他地方也要去嘛。这个产品就是我们目前重点开发的，功能呢比较先进。一个波兰和荷兰的客户当场就要给我们签独家代理协议。
Beyond sales expansion, some Chinese exporters are also investing in overseas production facilities to strengthen their presence in global markets. The US and Beijing are locked in a trade row that has seen Washington place levies of more than 145% on Chinese goods entering the US.
A Russian Soyuz MS-26 spacecraft carrying the International Space Station's Expedition 72 crew has landed in Kazakhstan. The spacecraft returned the three main crew members, Russian cosmonauts Alexei Ovchinin and Ivan Wagner, and NASA astronaut Donald Petit back to Earth. They were on assignment at the ISS for 220 days, conducting dozens of scientific experiments and research projects. On Friday, they handed over control of the station to Expedition 73 crew, led by Japanese astronaut Takuya Onishi.